There are things you carried alone that nobody around you ever fully understood. And someone is looking at you right now, seeing exactly that weight, finding it impossible to look away from what it produced in you. That is the truth Spirit handed me the moment I opened this energy for you today, Virgo. Not pity, not sympathy framed as attraction, something different and far more significant. Someone has registered with real clarity that what they are looking at when they look at you is a person who survived things quietly, who held themselves together when very few people were watching closely enough to notice the cost, and that survival has produced something in you that this person finds more magnetic than anything surface level ever could. I want to walk you through exactly what Spirit is showing me about what you have walked through, who is noticing it, what specifically they see when they look at you, and why this quality has become the thing they cannot stop thinking about. Stay with me through this entire reading because it carries real tenderness, and I do not want to rush past any layer of it. Let me describe what I felt the moment this energy opened, because the very first impression carries important signal about the depth of what we are examining. I felt weight immediately, not heaviness in the discouraging sense, but the specific, dense quality of something significant having been carried for a long time. This is the energy of someone who has navigated genuine hardship, the kind that does not announce itself loudly to the people around them, the kind that gets managed quietly, privately, without the dramatic visibility that sometimes accompanies difficulty. I also felt admiration present in this energy, arriving from somewhere outside yourself, the specific quality of someone witnessing the result of your private endurance and finding themselves genuinely moved by what they are seeing, even if they have not fully articulated this admiration directly to you yet. I want to talk about the hardships themselves because Spirit is showing me something specific about their nature, and I think honoring this specificity matters. I am sensing these were not hardships that came with an obvious support system attached, the kind where people rally around you, where casseroles arrive and sympathy is offered freely because the difficulty was visible and understood by everyone around you. I am sensing your hardships were the quieter kind, the ones that do not fit neatly into categories other people easily recognize or know how to respond to. Perhaps financial struggle you carried without letting it show in how you presented yourself. Perhaps emotional pain connected to family dynamics that outsiders never had full visibility into. Perhaps a private battle with your own mind, your own health, your own sense of who you are, fought largely in solitude because sharing it felt either unsafe or simply unnecessary to burden others with. I am also sensing a specific period where the weight of everything you were carrying nearly became too much, a moment or a season where you genuinely did not know if you would come through it intact, and yet you did. Not because the difficulty became easier, but because something in you refused to fully collapse, even when collapsing would have been understandable. I want to expand on this further because I think the specific texture of this quiet survival deserves more attention. I am sensing you developed somewhere along the way a particular skill for continuing to function, for showing up to work, for maintaining relationships, for handling your daily responsibilities, all while carrying something significant underneath the surface that most people interacting with you on any given day had no awareness of whatsoever. This is its own kind of exhausting labor, the labor of appearing functional while privately navigating something genuinely difficult, and it is labor that rarely receives any recognition precisely because it is performed so well that it remains invisible. I also want to address something about the specific isolation this kind of private hardship often creates. When difficulty is not visible to others, it becomes harder to receive the support that more obvious struggles naturally generate. I am sensing you have, at various points, felt genuinely alone in what you were carrying, not because people around you were unkind, but because they simply did not know. And you had developed enough capability at appearing fine that asking for help did not feel like a readily available option, even when you needed it most. Let me speak to what this survival actually produced in you, because I think this is the heart of what makes you so genuinely attractive to the person Spirit is showing me. Resilience that does not announce itself is rare. Most people who survive significant hardship either become visibly hardened by it, carrying their pain in a way that colors every interaction with bitterness or guardedness, or they become so eager to prove they are fine that their healing feels performed rather than genuine. You did neither. I am sensing you came through what you walked through with a quality of depth and softness existing simultaneously, strength that does not need to prove itself, loudly paired with a continued capacity for genuine warmth and care toward others. I want to expand on this rare combination further because I think it deserves real detailed examination. There is a particular alchemy that occurs in some people who survive genuine hardship without becoming hardened by it, an alchemy that transforms pain into a kind of expanded capacity for empathy rather than into walls that keep others at a permanent distance. I am sensing this is exactly what happened in you. The difficulty you walked through did not close you off from genuine connection. It deepened your capacity for it, giving you a level of understanding about what other people might be silently carrying that someone who has not walked through similar difficulty simply cannot access in the same way. I also want to address something about the specific quality of your strength that I am sensing this person finds so compelling. It is not the loud, performative strength that announces itself through bravado or constant assertions of being unbothered. It is quieter than that, visible primarily in how you handle ordinary moments of difficulty now. The steadiness in your voice during stressful situations, the groundedness you bring to conflict, the simple, unremarkable consistency of someone who has already proven to themselves through genuine testing exactly what they are capable of withstanding. Does this feel like it is connecting to something real in your own story, Virgo? Have you walked through something significant that very few people around you ever fully understood or witnessed? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear how this is resonating with your own experience. I want to address who is noticing this in you because Spirit is giving me distinct impressions, and I want to honor that specificity. This is someone who has their own relationship with depth, someone who does not find surface level connection particularly satisfying or interesting, even if they have navigated plenty of surface level interactions throughout their life. I am sensing they have been searching, perhaps without fully naming what they were searching for someone whose presence carries genuine substance, someone whose calm or whose warmth is not simply a personality trait, but the visible result of having actually walked through something and come out the other side more whole rather than less. I am also sensing this person has their own history of hardship, perhaps not identical to yours, but carrying a similar quality of having been navigated privately without much external support or recognition. This shared, unspoken understanding of what it costs to survive quietly is part of what creates such an immediate, powerful resonance when they encounter you. They recognize something in you because they recognize a version of it in themselves. I want to speak to what specifically this person sees when they look at you, because I think the detail here deserves real attention. I am sensing they notice the quality of your eyes, not in the superficial sense of simply finding them attractive, but in the deeper sense of recognizing something behind them, a depth that suggests you have seen and survived things that have given you a particular kind of understanding most people simply do not carry. They notice how you listen to others, the genuine quality of your attention that comes from someone who understands on a visceral level how much it matters to actually be heard. I am also sensing they notice your specific brand of strength, the way you handle difficulty in your present life with a steadiness that suggests you have already proven to yourself through everything you previously survived that you can handle whatever comes. This is not the performed confidence of someone who has not yet been genuinely tested. This is the quiet, earned confidence of someone who already knows exactly what they are capable of enduring. I want to expand on these specific observations further because I think the texture matters here. I am sensing this person has noticed small moments, ones you likely did not even register as significant, where your particular brand of resilience became visible to them. A moment where you remained calm during something that would have rattled most people. A moment where you offered genuine comfort to someone else who was struggling, drawing from a well of understanding that clearly came from your own lived experience rather than from secondhand sympathy. A specific way you carry yourself that suggests someone who has already weathered the worst and emerged with their core sense of self genuinely intact. I also want to address something about how this person processes what they notice in you, because I think it adds important texture to understanding their genuine admiration. I am sensing they do not simply observe these qualities passively. They actively think about them afterward, returning to specific moments in their memory, turning them over with a kind of fascination usually reserved for things people consider genuinely rare. This is not casual noticing. This is the specific, sustained attention of someone who has found something they did not expect to find and is genuinely moved by the discovery. Inhale with me for a moment, Virgo. I want to address something important about how this attraction is different from more surface level interest, because I think the distinction matters significantly here. This person is not drawn to you despite what you have survived, treating your history as something to be carefully navigated around or minimized. They are drawn to you specifically because of what surviving it produced in you. This distinction matters enormously because it means the depth they are responding to is not separate from your difficult history, but is in fact inseparable from it. The very thing you may have sometimes felt was a burden, the weight of carrying things others did not understand, has become, in this person's eyes, one of the most compelling things about who you are. I want to speak to what this person has likely been doing with this admiration, because I am sensing it has not yet been fully expressed directly to you. I am sensing they have been observing quietly, gathering impressions over time, rather than forming an immediate, surface level assessment. This kind of careful, sustained attention suggests genuine seriousness rather than fleeting interest. They are not simply noticing you in passing and moving on. They are continuing to think about what they have observed, turning it over in their mind, allowing their admiration to deepen through repeated encounters rather than fading after an initial impression. I am also sensing some hesitation in them about how to actually express what they feel, partly because they understand, perhaps intuitively, that what they are responding to in you is something tender and significant rather than something casual, and they do not want to address it carelessly or without the thoughtfulness it deserves. I want to expand on this hesitation further because I think it deserves real examination rather than a brief mention. There is a particular kind of caution that arises in people when they recognize they are responding to something genuinely significant in another person, especially when that significance is connected to private pain the other person has carried. This person likely worries about saying the wrong thing, about somehow trivializing what you survived by clumsily referencing it, about making you feel exposed or examined rather than genuinely seen and appreciated. This worry, while it has kept them from speaking directly so far, actually reflects the depth of their respect for you rather than indifference. I also want to address something about how this person might be processing their own feelings privately, perhaps discussing you in general terms with people close to them without fully revealing the depth of what they feel, testing the waters of articulating their admiration before they feel ready to bring it directly to you. This kind of private processing, while it means you have not yet received their full expression, indicates that what they feel is being taken seriously enough to warrant careful consideration rather than impulsive action. I want to address what genuine recognition like this might require from you as it continues to unfold, because I think your own response matters significantly here. You do not owe anyone access to the specific details of what you survived simply because they have recognized and admired its effects. Sharing your history, if and when you choose to, should happen on your own timeline with someone who has earned that level of trust through demonstrated consistency and genuine care, rather than out of any obligation created by their attraction to who you have become. Let me speak to what becomes possible when someone witnesses your full story, history, and present, both with genuine reverence rather than discomfort or pity. There is a particular kind of relief that comes from being seen completely, the difficult chapters, alongside the strength they produced, without the other person flinching away from the difficulty or treating your resilience as though it erases the genuine pain that created it. I am sensing this person is capable of holding both truths simultaneously, honoring what you survived without minimizing it, while also genuinely admiring who you have become as a result, without that admiration feeling like it requires you to perform strength constantly rather than simply being allowed to be fully human with both your strength and your continued tenderness intact. I want to expand on this further because I think it represents one of the most significant gifts this kind of genuine recognition can offer. So often, people who have survived quiet hardship find themselves locked into a particular role once others learn pieces of their story, either pitied in a way that feels diminishing or celebrated for their strength in a way that leaves no room for the ordinary human moments of struggle or vulnerability that everyone, regardless of their history, continues to experience. I am sensing this person offers something different, a recognition broad enough to hold your full humanity, the strength and the ongoing tenderness, the resilience and the moments where you still need support, without requiring you to choose only one dimension of yourself to present at any given time. I also want to address what this kind of complete seeing might eventually make possible between you if this connection continues to develop. A relationship built on this foundation, where your full history is genuinely known and genuinely honored rather than hidden or minimized, tends to carry a depth and a security that surface level connections simply cannot replicate. You would not need to perform composure constantly, nor would you need to hide the strength you have built in favor of appearing more conventionally vulnerable. You would simply be allowed to be exactly who you actually are, complexity and all. I want to speak to something about your own relationship with what you survived, because I think it deserves attention separate from how others now perceive it. You may have spent considerable time minimizing your own history, telling yourself that what you walked through was not really that significant, that other people have survived worse, that you should simply move forward without dwelling on it. I want you to release some of that minimizing now. What you walked through mattered. The fact that you survived it with your capacity for genuine warmth and connection still intact is genuinely remarkable, not something to be casually dismissed simply because the difficulty happened privately without an audience to validate its weight. I want to expand on this further because I think this particular pattern of self-minimization deserves real, honest attention. There is a specific kind of modesty that develops in people who survive hardship without much external witness or support, a modesty rooted not in genuine humility, but in the simple fact that no one ever reflected back to them the magnitude of what they were carrying. Without that external reflection, it becomes easy to internalize the idea that your struggle was not really significant, that you are simply doing what anyone would do in your circumstances, when in reality you were doing something genuinely difficult and doing it with remarkable grace. I also want to address something about what it might feel like to finally let this minimizing soften, even slightly, in response to someone else's genuine recognition. This may feel uncomfortable at first, particularly if you have spent a long time deflecting any acknowledgement of your own strength. I want you to allow yourself this discomfort rather than immediately retreating back into familiar self-deprecation. You are allowed to let someone else's clear-eyed admiration help you see yourself a little more accurately than your own habitual minimizing has allowed. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to leave you with the complete picture Spirit shared today. You survived hardships that very few people around you ever fully witnessed or understood, and that quiet survival produced a depth and a resilience in you that someone has genuinely recognized and found deeply compelling. This person is drawn not despite your history, but specifically because of what it revealed about your character, and they have been observing with sustained, genuine admiration, even if they have not yet found the words to fully express it. Trust your own timeline for sharing your story and receive this recognition as confirmation of something you may have spent too long minimizing about yourself. If this reading resonated with you today, please share it with a Virgo who has survived something quietly that deserves to be genuinely recognized. And let me know in the comments what came up for you as you listened to this. I read every comment and I carry your stories with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, what you survived was never invisible to everyone. Someone finally sees it, and what they see has made them unable to look away.